It is late, and the same browser tab has been open for about 40 minutes. It is a rent versus buy calculator. You have filled in every box twice. The first time it told you to buy, the second time it told you to rent. You did not change the house, you did not change the rent, you did not touch the 6.66% mortgage rate, because that one is published and you cannot. You changed two small boxes near the bottom that you were never sure about anyway, and the answer flipped. So the question this video answers is not which is better, it is which number decides it. Because one of the numbers in that calculator is a measured fact, and the other one you invented. There is nobody invented in this video. No two friends on identical salaries making opposite choices. One house and the arithmetic. None of the numbers underneath it are invented either, and that is the whole of the next 12 minutes. Here is one with a date on it. In the last week of July this year, the average 30-year fixed mortgage in America was 6.66%. That is Freddie Mac's weekly survey. Not a forecast, not an opinion. A measurement, published every Thursday. Now here is a number that is nothing like that one. What will American house prices do over the next 11 years? Nobody knows. Not me, not an agent, not the calculator, and not the person who built the calculator. And yet, that box has to be filled in before it can answer anything at all. That is the split this entire decision runs on, and almost nobody separates the two sides. So we are going to. By the end, you will know which half of this calculation is a fact, and which half you wrote yourself. And you will have watched one invented number move the answer by more than $1,000 a month. Picture a board on a wall. Every number this decision needs gets a tile on it, and there are only two kinds of tile. The first kind is brass. Stamped, bolted down, with the date it was measured printed along the bottom. You cannot argue with a brass tile. You can only go and read it. The second kind is blank. Pale, light, and you write on it yourself, in wax pencil. Those are the numbers nobody publishes, because nobody can. Both kinds hang on the same board, and from across the room, they look identical. That is why this decision feels so slippery. Half of it is measured, half of it is imagined, and every calculator ever built prints both halves in the same font, at the same size, with the same confidence. So let us fill the board properly. Brass first. One house, two ways to live in it. Same city, same week, same board. I am not giving you a salary or a city, because either one would let me tilt this. One thing before the numbers start, said once and then not repeated. A few of these tiles are assumptions, and I will tell you the moment we reach each one. Everything else carries a date. Brass tile 1. The median American home sold in the second quarter of this year went for $410,700. That is the Census Bureau. Half of everything sold went for more than that, half went for less. 20% down is $82,140, gone from the account on day 1. That leaves a loan of $328,560. Brass tile 2 is the one we already met. 6.66%, 30 years. Fixed. Put those two through the standard mortgage formula, which has not changed in a century, and exactly one number comes out. $2,111 a month in principal and interest. That is not an estimate. Given that price and that rate, it is the only answer the arithmetic allows. Now look at what the payment is made of in month 1, because this is the part people are told wrong. Of that $2,111, $1,824 goes to the bank as interest. $288 reduces what you owe. 13.6% of the payment. In month 1, that is the part that is yours. That is not an argument against buying a house. It is how a 30-year loan works. It is arithmetic, not a scandal. Brass tile 3. Property tax. Across the 87 million owner-occupied homes in America, the average effective rate in 2024 was 0.89% of the home's value. That is the National Association of Home Builders, working from the Census Bureau's own survey. On a $410,000 home, that is $3,655 a year. Now the renting side of the board, and it is a much shorter list, which is the first honest thing about it. Brass tile 4. The median asking rent on a vacant unit in America last quarter was $1,579, up $115 in 3 months. And I have to say something here that these comparisons never say. A median rental and a median house for sale are not the same building. Different size, different street, different everything. So those two tiles are there for scale, and only for scale. They are not a like-for-like pair, and anybody who hands them to you as one is not running arithmetic, they are selling you a conclusion. If this is the version of the arithmetic you have been looking for, subscribing takes a second, and it is the whole thanks I need. Brass tile 5, and this one moves people. How long does the average American actually own a home before selling it? 11 years. That is the National Association of Realtors, from their 2025 Buyer and Seller Report. And it is an all-time high, not 30. 11. Which means every 30-year projection in this debate is answering a question almost nobody lives. So let us run 11 instead. Over 11 years, that is 132 payments. $278,692 out the door. $55,836 of that reduced the loan. The other $222,856 was interest. 80 cents of every dollar handed to the lender over the exact stretch of time the average American owner stays in the house. Again, this is not an argument against buying. A renter pays 100% of the rent and keeps none of it. It is a correction to a sentence people repeat without checking, that a mortgage payment is mostly buying you something. Over 11 years, at this rate, most of it is not. 2 brass tiles left, and then the measured half is finished. So what did American house prices do over the last year? 1.1%. That is the Case-Shiller National Index, published on the 28th of July. And after inflation, American home values have now fallen for 12 months in a row. Nearly every rent versus buy breakdown you have ever watched assumed 3 or 4% a year, said it in the same tone as a fact, and never went to check what the number was. Last brass tile, and it is the long view. Since 1987, American house prices are up 417%, and over those same 39 years, after inflation, up 73%. Those are the same fact, described twice. 4.3% a year before inflation, 1.4% a year after it. Housing stayed ahead of inflation. It did not run away from it. One more measurement on the renting side, because those costs move too. Over the last year, the shelter part of American inflation ran at 3.3%. Rent is climbing. It is climbing at a rate somebody measured, not at the rate the debate assumes. And that is the brass side of the board full. Not one number on it is mine. Which brings us to the other side. 4 tiles left, and every one of them is empty. Blank tile 1. What it costs to keep the house standing and to insure it. There is no published national maintenance rate. The 1% rule you have heard is a rule of thumb. Nobody measured it. So I'm writing 1.5% on the tile, and I'm telling you I chose that. $6,161 a year. Blank tile 2. What that $82,000 down payment would have earned had it not gone into a house. The S&P 500 has returned about 10% a year since 1928. That is history. History is not a promise, and I am not making one. So I am writing 7%, to be careful. $5,750 a year. Blank tile 3. How long you stay? 11 years is the national median. It is not a fact about you. And blank tile 4, which everything hangs on. What will house prices do from here? That one stays empty for another minute, because it is the entire answer. First, there is a number I have to build, and it is the one this whole comparison should have been resting on. Every year that house is owned, some money leaves and does not come back. The interest, the property tax, the upkeep and the insurance, and the return the down payment is no longer earning. Add them at the numbers on this board, and year 1 comes to $37,343. $3,112 a month, gone in exactly the way rent is gone. That is the honest thing to hold against rent. Not the mortgage payment. The part of owning that never comes back. And it is the number nobody puts on the screen, because it is a great deal bigger than the payment. And the payment is the number that sells the house. Now the last tile, because price growth comes off that number. Write in what house prices actually did last year. 1.1%. $4,518. The cost that never comes back drops to $32,825, $2,735 a month. Now rub it out. Write in the long-run average instead. 4.3%, $17,660, $19,683 a year, $1,640 a month. Same house, same day, same rate, same tax, same everything in brass. One tile changed, and the break-even rent moved $1,100 a month. Every household in America paying rent between those two figures gets a completely different answer, and the only thing that decided it was which number somebody typed into a box. That is what happened at that kitchen table 40 minutes ago. The house never changed. A tile did. And the reason nobody warns you is that the calculator prints your guess in the same font as Freddie Mac's measurement. So which is it? I am not going to tell you, and I want to be clear that it is not because I am being cautious. It is because the arithmetic does not contain an answer. What it contains is a method. Add up what never comes back. Hold that against rent, not against the payment. Then look at which of your tiles are brass, and which ones you wrote yourself. Two more things the board cannot hold: whether you stay, and whether the money you do not spend gets invested or quietly absorbed. Nobody publishes those either, and between them they decide more than any figure on that wall. 65% of American households own their home. 21% of buyers last year were buying a first one, the smallest share since records began in 1981, at a median age of 40. Whichever side of that you are standing on tonight, you are standing there with tens of millions of other people, and not one of you was ever handed a right answer to hold on to. The board is not there to decide for you. It is there so you can see which half of the decision was measured, and stop feeling foolish about the half that never could be. If that made the shape of it clearer, subscribing is the whole thanks I need, and it means the next one finds you. And if housing is the biggest line in your budget, the second biggest is the one almost nobody mentions. That is minimalist money rules. The half of your budget nobody mentions, and it is about where the money sits and what all the rules people repeat are aimed at. Go and fill in your own board. Read the brass. Be honest about the wax. I will see you in the next one.